Bitcoin holders, Bitcoin proponents everywhere are rejoicing in the awakening of the new Bitcoin bull. The halving is upon us in 2 months, and there are many things. We are just getting started. And at the end of the day, the most important thing to remember is that price is the least interesting aspect about Bitcoin. Price is the best indicator because it tells us what's going on, how many people are believing and educated on the asset. But it's the new monetary system. People are still, many people, 99+% of people are still thinking of, well, what are my fiat returns? What am I going to get? What am I going to sell eventually and get US trash tokens back? You're not going to sell out and get trash tokens. Bitcoin, or true Bitcoiner, is not here for, in my opinion, not here for getting more fiat. Why would I want a worthless currency? I want the hardest money to ever exist, and I will always continue to keep that currency, that money, as long as I live. My family, I'll pass it down, and we will use that Bitcoin to buy Citadel, buy an estate, buy an apartment complex, buy things, productive assets. We will use it. In the meantime, this transition period, people ask, well, what are you going to do? How can you live in these two worlds, fiat and the Bitcoin world? I can lend against it. You can sell it. You don't want the capital gains hit, though, but you can lend against it. You can lend, take a loan out, and then get the fiat you need, not have the capital gains, and then use the fiat as necessary, and then pay that back over time as Bitcoin continues to go up in price. So there are many ways to handle it, but over the last 2 years, I think it's important to just note, Bitcoin touching down at 15,000, somewhere around there in that world. But we're going to share my screen really quick. Bitcoin touching around 15,000 or so, I believe, and we're seeing this massive uptick at the start of the bull. Bitcoin topping out, touched $64,000 yesterday, and closes out at $61,000 today. The best month since 2020. And again, there's a reason this happens every 4 years. It's kind of the same process playing out over and over again. The Bitcoin halving and what it means for price. The Bitcoin halving, really briefly, is the miner reward. So the miners that are mining for Bitcoin, just like someone's mining for gold or silver, their reward is cut in half. So when you find a block every 10 minutes and put all the transactions into a block, the immutable chain, there's a reward. There's a transaction fee, and then the miner reward, the actual Bitcoin reward that goes to the miner who wins that block. That's getting cut in half from 6.25 to 3.125. That's getting cut. And so there's less supply going to market. After this halving, it'll be more scarce than precious metals, and then gold and silver. So you're going to have this effect now of it becoming the scarcest asset, truly. And there'll only be 21 million overall. There's really probably only 16, 17, 18 million really available, or going to be available, because they said there's 3 to 4 million already lost. So we're seeing the scarcity. And there's a great quote someone said earlier about Bitcoin itself, but there's no top to Bitcoin. This is how we know the price is guaranteed to go up. It's mathematically guaranteed because there's no bottom to fiat. And that's how we know they're directly inverse of each other. They're inversely proportional. And it seems, the other part of the quote is that, from someone, when you're not in it yet, Bitcoiners are not some geniuses, although there are many geniuses in Bitcoin. Me, for one, I am not. I'm someone who had to learn for politics for years. And then I had to get into money and start learning money and learning gold and silver, learning what true money was, what the qualities and what the properties of real money were. A unit of account, a store of value, fungible, divisible, and the big one is a store of value. That's the big one. And fiat currencies aren't a store of value, so they can't be considered a money. They're a currency. Well, gold and silver are a store of value, so they're a money. And then now Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the best store of value we've ever found, a finite, only 2.1 quadrillion units. So now it's the perfect finite asset for your finite time and energy, because that's what money is a container for your time and energy. And it conveys this feedback loop. It conveys information to each other in the marketplace. So now we have this perfect finite asset for our finite time and energy. It's the only one that we know of. So this is why this will continue to go up and up and up in fiat price. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. But what it buys you will continue to decrease. One Bitcoin, 10 years ago bought you a phone. And then 5 years ago, one Bitcoin bought you a car. Now one Bitcoin is going to become a house. And then one Bitcoin will eventually buy you a city block. And then one Bitcoin will eventually buy you, a city. It's going to keep going, because everything, the black hole, will keep being eaten. All the assets will keep being eaten by Bitcoin until all the money and many of the monetary value in the world now is sucked into the real money, the true money. And again, this is hard. It seems absurd to those who don't get it. And it seemed absurd to me 10 years ago when I didn't understand it. But once you do get it, in hindsight, it's obvious, and it's so illuminating. It's hard to even understand what's going on. So again, you have things like Sailor getting hammered in the bear market, and it goes down, touches 15,000. And if you were following this letter at all, following what we do here, and the people we're interviewing, the playable characters, we are piling in. When you know an asset, when you have the breadth of what's going on and have studied monetary history or whatever angle someone has come from, and you see and you understand what's happening and how the world is being shaped and the trends and everything, you have conviction. You pile in. As Bitcoin education grows, the adoption grows. It's very linear, or very, there's a parallel there, I should say. So someone like Michael Saylor, his education continued to grow, so he's poured more and more in, and he got hammered. Look how dumb he is, El Salvador. Look how dumb these people were. Look at they're such idiots. Now they're up massively, right? They're up massively. I mean, this now, I don't see the articles of them saying how genius they are. We're not even at all-time highs yet. By the time we're seeing this, maybe you're watching this, maybe it is at all-time highs, and there's barely anything in the news. People, we're so early that I don't think people truly understand where this is going to go and what's going to happen. Just imagine when we start realizing there's countries mining this, buying it. Just imagine when we see people around the world, huge energy producers, starting to then measure energy in Bitcoin. The measuring stick, again, only 21 million. You can measure anything in the world by the control. You need a control in the experiment. You have to. Otherwise, things are moving all over the place. And we've had that for so long that it distorts reality. It distorts the economy and doesn't allow for free market activity. This is going away. If you do not like politicians leaving office with $200 million and cushy jobs and using, grifting and grafting off society, you are a Bitcoiner. You're a Bitcoiner, and you're going to love Bitcoin. If you're someone who likes climate equity, DEI, if you're someone who likes justice, fairness, equity, inclusion, all that stuff, you're going to love Bitcoin. You're going to love Bitcoin because it's very inclusive. Anyone with an internet connection, boom, you've got it. It's done. There you go. If you love reigning in government, if you love being fiscally conservative, if you love reining in politicians for their spending and auditing what's exactly going on, then you're going to love Bitcoin. You're going to love Bitcoin. Bitcoin's for your enemies. Bitcoin's for your friends. It's for all people. It's the freest form of money and the purest form of money we've ever had and ever discovered as human beings. That's the beauty of it. It literally ties in all people. And when I saw that, when I had the epiphany of, it's not red versus blue. It's not Tea Party versus Occupy Wall Street. We're on the same team. We're on the same coin. We might be different sides of the same coin, but the media, the people, the ruling class at the top, distracting us with a broken monetary system, they want us fighting and distract us so we don't see what's really going on behind us. All the way back to Rome. This goes back to the Colosseum and distracting and dividing, polarizing the citizens so that they fought, and then the guys in the treasury could do whatever they want, melt down the coins, coin clip them, and take the wealth, the time and energy of the citizens through inflation, period. And once you realize it's not red versus blue, it's a state versus you, everything changes. And you realize the one thing you are fighting to change is the monetary system. And all you need to do, it's a second. The decision's done. We are using this money now going forward. We're using a money that's incorruptible. We're using a money that no one can debase. We're using a money that no one can steal from us. We're using a money that can't be censored. We're using a money that's permissionless. We're using a money that's trustless. That's when things change. That's when you see all the cockroaches go away. The grift and graft start to just seep away down to the cracks, the dredges of the society and the road, down into the sewer, never to be seen again. Please share this out. The algorithm hates truth. Hates truth. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. Trust what I'm saying, but verify. It's not financial advice. It's freedom advice. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.